Have you ever just walked away from a conversation thinking, what on earth just happened? One minute everything's totally fine, and the next, you've accidentally stepped on a conversational landmine. Well, today we're going to get into exactly why that happens, and way more importantly, what you can do about it. It all starts with this one sentence. Shouted from a dorm room window at the University of Pennsylvania, it didn't just end a noisy party. Oh no, it kicked off a massive, campus-wide firestorm about free speech, harassment, and all the hidden meanings packed into the words we use every day. And that was the question at the very heart of the debate. Was this just some innocent, harmless piece of slang, or was it a deeply offensive, racist slur? Well, the answer, as it turns out, depends entirely on who you ask. And digging into it reveals this hidden world of rules that secretly guide every single conversation we have. So let's break down what happened to the student Eden Jakubowicz and figure out how this one simple phrase could become so incredibly explosive. This whole case is the perfect window into just how easily our communication can completely fall apart. What's so wild here is the complete and total disconnect. Jakubowicz was sure his words meant one thing, based on this Hebrew slang he knew. But the university, they heard something totally different. And, get this, they even got their zoology wrong in the process. Water buffalo are from Asia, not Africa. The charges were eventually dropped, but the whole mess perfectly shows how volatile our words can be when people from different backgrounds collide. Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. Things like the water buffalo incident happen all the time because, without realizing it, we're all running on different communication software. We think we're speaking the same language, but our underlying programming, our operating systems, are completely different. And that's where you get all the glitches. And this gets right to the core of it. In what we call low-context cultures, what you say is what you mean. The words themselves carry all the information. Simple. But in high-context cultures, the real message is layered. It's in the gestures, the tone of voice, the shared history between people, and especially in what's not said. It's literally like two different operating systems trying to open the same file. It's just not going to work. Have you ever been in a conversation like this? I mean, really, the New Yorkers think they're having this awesome, lively debate, but the Californians, they just think the New Yorkers are being rude and won't let anyone else get a word in. It's not about personality. It's about different, totally unspoken rules for something as basic as when it's your turn to talk. These invisible rules are part of something called cultural scripts. You can think of them like stage directions for our daily lives. They tell us how to act, what to say, and when to say it in all sorts of different situations. Okay, take visiting a Japanese bathhouse. There is a very precise, unwritten script you have to follow. The big one, you wash before you get into the communal tub. If you follow this script, you have a normal, relaxing experience. But if you break it, say by just jumping straight into the bath, it would be a major social disaster because you violated this really deep, ingrained procedure. Now, to an Australian, this might sound like false modesty, right? But the Iranian student is actually following a cultural script called Shikaste Nafsi. The script pretty much requires him to downplay his own success and give all the credit to his professor. It isn't just being polite. In that context, it's the absolute correct and expected thing to do. All right, so we get the problem. We're all running on different software and following different scripts. So how do we prevent a total system crash? Well, the good news is there are actual tools you can use to start bridging these communication gaps. The first tool is basically learning to mirror people. It's based on a concept called communication accommodation. It's a fancy name, but the idea is to just subtly shift your style to be a bit more like the person you're talking to. Maybe you slow down your speech for a slower talker, or you mirror their relaxed body language. It's all about making them feel more comfortable and building that connection. But, and this is a big but, you have to be careful. If you go too far, it's called over-accommodation, and it can come across as incredibly patronizing. Think of elder speak, that high-pitched, simplified baby talk that some people use with the elderly. It's meant to be helpful, but it often just feels demeaning. The second tool, and honestly, this might be the most powerful one, is mindfulness. Think about it. Our biggest challenge when we meet strangers is simply not knowing what they're going to do or say. That creates anxiety. And mindfulness is the key to managing that uncertainty. It's about hitting pause on your assumptions, getting off autopilot, and actually paying attention to the unique person right in front of you. So the final piece of our toolkit is using that mindfulness to see the full context. It helps us realize that our own scripts about Well, everything, from small talk all the way to lifelong relationships, they aren't universal. Let me show you a couple of really powerful examples. Take a look at this. For many Westerners, seeing matrimonial ads organized by caste can be jarring. It's a very high context approach where all these social factors like family, profession, and group identity are explicit and primary things to consider when choosing a life partner. Now, let's contrast that with a cultural script that's common in the US. While its history has its own deep flaws, the focus has really shifted to this ideal of individual choice and romantic love, a very low context approach. This all culminated in Richard and Mildred Loving taking their fight to the Supreme Court to affirm that right. These are just two profoundly different scripts for what a relationship is built on. So, how do we actually put all this into practice? Well, it starts with realizing that great communication isn't a passive sport. It demands active, mindful listening. It means noticing the cues that go way beyond the words, being flexible enough to adjust your own style, and being honest enough to reflect on your own communication habits. Now that you know what to look for, the hidden operating systems, the cultural scripts, the high and low contexts, you're going to start seeing these invisible forces everywhere. So here's the final thought to take with you. What's one unwritten rule of conversation that you'll notice out in your world today?